Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Inside Out Smile. I'm your host, Dr. Amber Q, and you're probably wondering at the title of today's episode, but I really feel that, I think I've mentioned this before, that all masks are off at the moment, but I feel that when I made that comment, it wasn't even, as raw as it is now, because we see certain groups of people just normalizing a genocide, and some are even glorifying it, whilst the rest of the world is seeing these horrors unfolding with total abhorrence. And I think really now that, the masks are really off now, because you even see people, somebody has Palestinian flag on their car and somebody is uttering abuse at them. I mean, it's ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. And I think that in that sense, things are really being stripped back. And it's almost as if decency, humanity is versing evil and lunacy. And greed, I think greed comes, greed and hypocrisy. My gosh. And I feel that, this is really showing who we are as people. It's really stripping us bare. And I don't even want to use those words if you've seen sort of what's been happening in Gaza. But the point is that I think, people's true colours are really coming out. And what does this really mean for the world? Well, as I'm recording this, there is a huge storm in the UK. We don't normally have things like this. Storms like this used to be a rarity, but obviously now with climate change, things are just becoming very erratic in all spheres of life, in all facets of life. And it's interesting because there's been corruption in the land, in the sea. We've destroyed literally the planet. And I don't say this to be negative. I'm just trying to kind of just, paint a picture as the storm is whistling around me, and it's going to get worse in the next few hours. But what I would like to say, and it's funny because it's almost more poignant with the wind whistling around me, and I wonder whether that's going to come through in the microphone. But the thing is, here I am worried about a storm, but I don't have anything like, I'm in comfort, right? So there's that old adage that when I was younger, that whole thing about, finish what's on your plate, there are people starving in the world. And I think that, it's just that thing, isn't it? It's just that thing that in the West, we're so, I feel, ungrateful for what we have. And it's funny because I was thinking about today's episode, and I think I mentioned previously about sort of creating your own reality. And we all do that in any case. But if you're mindful of what you're consuming, and if you want to, improve the world or have a positive impact on humanity, then you really do kind of, become quite conscious of what you are consuming. And for me, I really feel that, and funnily enough, I saw something online about this as well, about gratitude, is that do we actually really appreciate what we have? I mean, honestly, as this storm is racing around, and it's not even here as yet. I think one of my friends was saying the storm is still in the Atlantic, so it hasn't actually reached us as yet, and it's already like this. So I think it's going to peak at midnight. So I don't know what's going to happen. May God keep us all safe. But the point is that, are we truly grateful for what we have? Because we know, don't we, that when you lose something, you then appreciate what you've had, whether it's a friend in the past that's passed away, or, or a sibling or a relative, I don't know, or even days gone by, your youth or your school days. I don't know. I think the thing is that to be truly grateful really requires thought and reflection. But I think we don't get a chance to do that because, so many people have said they can't look at what's happening in Palestine because it's just unbearable to watch. And it is really painful and unbearable to watch, but we're just watching it. They're actually living and experiencing it and dying in it as well. And I just feel that, obviously, in a sense, some of these things for the people who are perpetrating these horrors is quite sanitized for them because they're just dropping things and sending sort of drones and modern weaponry and not actually facing people. And when they are facing people, interesting to see what's happening and the mental distress that's ensuing for them. And I do ultimately believe that this is because humans are born as pure souls and they just become corrupted due to circumstances or whatever experiences they have. But the point is, there are so many everyday heroes. There's certainly so many heroes in Palestine. The things that you see, the children and the people, whilst they're starving, I think, they're creating. I read something, I saw a video, and I agree with this. Actually, it was a video with one of the Palestinian journalists saying that, they're creating such terrible conditions, such barbaric, cruel conditions, hoping that people will turn on each other. But the Palestinians are doing exactly the opposite. They're the most beautiful, resilient people, my gosh. And this is why so many people are actually turning to Islam and to the Holy Quran, trying to see, how is this happening? How are they so spiritually composed and resilient? And I think the thing is, of course they're suffering, they're human beings, of course they're suffering, but at the end of the day, there are so many good people in the world. There are so many people that are calling for a ceasefire. And I think aside from that, there are so many everyday heroes. Really, we just need to appreciate each other and serve each other, which I've always said on this podcast. And although we're seeing the worst of humanity in politicians and in Zionists, I think that I really feel sorry for them, because at the end of the day, we're either going to become old and helpless, or we're going to pass away before that. And that's when reality is going to really kick in. This life is only, a certain period of time. And I feel that, I feel actually really sorry for the Zionists, and just seeing the worst of humanity in that way, I feel sorry for them because they're ultimately going to lose out. But to that end, I would just like to celebrate, I feel, just internally, externally, people who are wonderful, people who work in charities, people who just do, everyday heroes. There was a wonderful, wonderful thing. There's an entrepreneur who goes around, I think his video has gone viral, trying to get people to start their own business, and he wants to help them. And his name is Simon Squibb. And in one video, he basically meets a street cleaner and he asks him what his dream is. And he says, I just want it to stop. I just want, essentially, I want them to, to have a ceasefire in Gaza and to stop it, and that it's constantly on his mind. And I thought, what a good person. And I think Simon Squibb was quite touched by that, and said that he hoped that that dream would come true. And I think we all feel that. Anyone with a heart, any shred of decency and humanity feels that. And so my question really is, what is your dream? When we strip everything down, because nothing ever stays the same. We are all getting older by the second, by the minute. We're one breath closer to our demise. and we are underground far longer than we are overground. And we all have daily stresses, whether it's at work, with relationships, with family, with friends, in the community, maybe with unruly pets even. And I think that it's about getting through life with as much grace as possible. And we can only do that really by being grateful. But true gratitude, just stripping down to true gratitude for everything that we have and trying to do the best that we can for our fellow human beings. And how would that gratitude manifest? Well, it would manifest by doing what we can to help people. And the world is such a small place now. And the greatest evil of our time is happening literally right under our noses. And we really have to, if we've got any shred of decency, we've got to do something. You've got to do whatever you can to raise awareness about it and to educate yourself, not from mainstream media, because they're feeding you a narrative that is just not true. The truth is with the people. So let's all create connection and not just change lives, but save lives.